everyone, my name is Elizabeth Warburton at Property 118, and today I'm really excited to be speaking to two of the award winners of the UK Property Investor Awards. To my left, I've got Jack and Ben, who won Property Deal of the Year. Gents, welcome.
Hello,
thanks for having us.
You're very welcome, it's great to have you. I want to start today's interview with taking it right the way back to childhood, before property, and talk about what you were like as a child and what you enjoyed doing, and whether you knew that property was inevitably going to come around for you.
Cool, yeah. So, I mean, my background and as I grew up, I was very much into mathematics, engineering, problem solving, stuff like that. I love doing puzzles with my parents, and as I grew up, I think kind of that ability to solve problems, start with nothing and kind of create something is fundamentally what I liked doing as a kid. So yeah. I studied like maths, graphic design, product design, that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't really until actually when I was doing a work experience at, I think, age 16, when you're like forced to do it in year 11.
Yeah.
Went to work with one of my dad's accountancy friends, thinking I'd want to go into accounting. It was the dullest 2 weeks of my life. And basically from then I thought I need to change career choice and direction.
Okay.
And that I think started the sort of more maths, graphic design, creative side of what I really enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. And then decided to take architectural engineering at university. So wanted to be in the construction industry, wanted to be in the sort of architecture design space.
Yeah.
And then fundamentally kind of ended up working for a property developer, the Berkeley Group. We're actually sat in one of their
Brilliant. Yeah, you are.
One of their developments.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of grew from there, I think. Just the love for wanting to create and build things, whether that be building a business or building property and investments.
Yeah, brilliant. And what about yourself, Jack?
So mine's similar to Ben, love problem solving and creating things, but growing up, my father was a builder, so we lived on building sites. Every house I lived in as a child, he had built, so I was very familiar with construction and what goes into it. And it was actually, that was the tipping point that put me to really confident to go into construction, because he probably made more value out of his real estate growth than his business that he was running. But back to me, I was not necessarily book smart at school, but I was extremely practical, and I liked finding solutions to problems, even if they weren't really a problem. The phrase, don't fix it if it's not broken. I like fixing things better, even if they're
not broken.
Operating, exactly. And from a young age, I started selling items on eBay, and I love that sort of trader mentality, finding something low, selling it high, creating value in the marketplace, arbitraging that value and being rewarded for that enjoyment I really enjoyed. But it was inevitable that I now can confidently say I use those skills now in our development company and in our investment company as well.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So you could say you definitely got that entrepreneurial streak from a young age.
Yeah, you don't really know it from that young age, but when you're constantly doing things, trying to be different and doing things differently, that's, you can't say anything other than that's quite entrepreneurial.
I think you started at 14 doing your eBay stuff. Like you must have known then that kind of
Yeah, I actually had to lie about my age, because you had to be 16.
In order to get on, yeah, you did. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so you both started your careers alone. When did you combine forces?
So we met on a property education course, effectively.
Yeah.
We did their sort of VIP program, and actually we both had the same mentor. So we sort of knew of each other. We'd seen each other at networking events. We'd both, doing our own separate thing, meeting our mentor every month. Around sort of 3 or 4 months in, they were like, I think you two should have a chat. I think you'd work really well together.
Yeah.
So I think we met in a coffee shop in Reading. And just sort of started chatting from there, really. We started looking at deals, looking at opportunities, starting to get to know each other as a person, and sort of just generally seeing how things unfolded. And it probably wasn't, 6-7 months after that we then decided to go a little bit more further and actually set up XP Property as a business and start sort of building a business together, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. I think as well, it's quite clear that you both bring very different skill sets to the table, and you work really well together as a team.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit operationally then, how do you run XP Properties?
So very early on, we always had a mentality of not to sort of shadow each other too much and divide and conquer, because there's a lot of work that has to go into a 360 of a development. We're not just coming in and doing construction, we're finding the site, structuring it, funding it, acquiring it, sorting out all the finance, all the accounts, going through it, taking it through planning potentially, and then delivering it and either retaining it with management or selling it on the market. And very early on, we did define roles. Obviously, I had a construction background, so I have project managed, I have built out property before. But we knew that I would probably be better fit to work on more of the process at the front and organising what deals are coming into our sort of lap. In addition to that, we knew that Ben, obviously, with his prerequisite experience at the Berkeley Group, was strong in delivery, cost management, in enhancing value in design. So the way that we split the business is basically 5 categories. So it's acquisitions, the funding, the structuring, the design and delivery, and then the sales and marketing. Once those roles were clearly defined, it's amazing how quickly you can make really good ground and achieve a lot. And we made a joke earlier that we don't actually see each other too much. We see our team a lot more. We obviously have a team that report into me and a team that report into Ben, but Ben and I don't necessarily have to check in with each other too much because we trust each other in what they're doing. You know, that's his skill set, that's my skill set, and we push the business forwards that way. We most actually often frequently meet when I call Ben and I say we've got to sign another purchase.
I knew you were the solicitors again. Which one's this one for?
I mean, it could be worse to meet up for, right?
I think that I guess didn't happen straight away, did it? We probably had 18 months where we were learning how each other works, kind of feeling out what's best and which route is sort of going to work going forward. I think very early on I was worried, and I asked how you see it kind of going forward, because I saw us almost as the same person, but realised as we work, you know, more and more together, Jack brings a skill set that I don't. I've got different traits, you know, but I think that shared sense of goal and vision for where we want to be has definitely been aligned from day one. I think if you're looking at working with a business partner or even a JV partner, you have to have that aligned vision. Otherwise, you're kind of aiming for 2 different things, and it's going to at some point go wrong down the line. So we spent 18 months working out kind of where we both were, and then as we've grown sort of distinctly into 2 different parts of the business.
Grown apart in the best way possible.
Exactly. It's allowed us to really push forward. You know, twice. You know, we're doing double the work that we would have done previously, where we might have been following each other around. So divide and conquer is definitely the way we've gone forward. Yeah,
absolutely. So tell me then, what was the first deal that you did together?
So was it Seafield Court? Was it Hyde End Road?
We acquired them, so we took the position on both sites at the same time, but Seafield Court finished.
We did that first.
Yeah, Seafield Court was a basement conversion to 2 2-bed flats.
Quite
a fun, unique deal in the way that we funded it. Quite a fairly straightforward deal from a construction perspective, but we funded that completely with crowdfunding, so pretty much 99% of the costs on a crowdfunding platform.
Brilliant.
That was one. It was great because we got loads of exposure, and that scheme started at a very similar time to another scheme which is based out just outside Reading, which was 7 offices and 7 flats, quite a lumpy scheme, and both of those were running in tangent. It was quite well timed because we were running the planning application on the bigger site through the whole duration of the construction of the smaller site. But those 2 together, I think it was the bigger one that we got into legals first, and that was the sort of real kickstart to set up a business, make it official, work on each other's goals, work on each other's areas in the business. But those were the 2 first deals that we did. Most definitely.
And was it a positive outcome? Did everything go to plan?
Yeah, the Seafield Court project, the 2-basement scheme, is actually, because it's a block of now 8 flats. It was 6. I owned one of the 6 flats. So I'd already sort of, when I bought my flat, was thinking there's a lot of extra value there that we could probably get. So it was a little bit like herding cats in terms of getting the other 6, or the other 5, like shareholders and management company together to get them to sell it to us. But I'd already kind of played that one out in my head in terms of how I want it to work and what's going to happen and what needs to happen from a construction perspective. So that one was, it was relatively straightforward. COVID got in the way a little bit because we had a few deliveries that were difficult, and plaster at the time was like gold dust. But we managed to wade through that with a contractor, and it was a really profitable scheme for us. It was great to kind of get that one under our belt, get some cash in the business, and move on to the other one. The other one is still a bit of a thorn in our side in terms of the way it's played out. Half of the development was essentially an office, and obviously during COVID that didn't really help things in terms of the way that the office market tanked. So we're still trying to let some of those units now, 3.5 years on. The development side of it from a resi angle was really good.
It's good.
Yeah, we extended the building, we converted some of the offices into flats.
Yep.
We achieved, I think, £709,000 worth of sale of 3 flats when an agent suggested we'd maybe get 655. So we blew the sort of end values out of the water of those, and we've kept 4 of the studio flats as a long-term investment, but the offices are really sort of sticking at the moment.
It's refinanced now and on long-term fixed-rate mortgage, so we're fairly comfortable with finishing it, but it's just letting office space, especially in sort of suburb, not prime areas, it's difficult letting in prime areas. But to paint a perspective, Ben said that we finished 3 flats, sold them. We still have 4 studios and we still own 7 offices.
Right.
The 3 flats that we sold for 710k, we bought the whole site for 756. So we've done well as a capital stack position, but we're definitely looking to fill the offices and then trade the site out on to an investment buyer.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a profitable deal, but at the moment the equity is locked up in the asset.
Yeah.
And we're not getting the income that we would have thought. We thought we were.
It's great to talk about this as well, though, because it's never straightforward. It's not all peachy. It's not all roses. Yeah. But problem solving, solution-based mindset. Yeah. And it'll happen.
Yeah, that particular deal has everything under the sun that you could think about that a property developer would need to do. You've got capital allowances, business rates relief, you've got asset management, you've got commercial tenants, residential tenants, you've got residential new build, you've got residential conversion, you've got office new build, office conversion.
Wow.
You've got title issues, access issues. You've got a bank that pulled on us during COVID that said we're not lending anymore. We had to manage 3 contractors, groundwork contractors. It was a great challenge, and I suppose the main takeaway from that is, any aspiring in property investor or property developer would hope that they do, a lot of projects in their life. And what we took away from it is we learned a lot. We understood where I worked in the business and Ben worked in the business. Yeah. We collaborated well together. We fought quite well together. And from that, we can then take that onto our next project. Obviously, there's still learnings from every single project you would do, but
definitely
from sort of finding our feet as a business, it was a good challenge.
Yeah. Property's easy, folks. You'll be a millionaire overnight.
I think people watch Homes Under the Hammer, don't they? And think
and they think, it's a breeze, we can do that.
No, it has its difficulties, definitely. And this one was a great learning curve because it just had a bit of everything. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to your award. Tell us about the deal that won it for you.
I'll let you start on that one.
Yeah, so we bought it back in 2021.
Yeah.
It was launched on the market in 2020, just before COVID hit, and it was fundamentally an old mill that had been badly converted by the mill owners into 14 apartments. So when I say badly, I'm talking about some of the arrangements of layouts are probably questionable in terms of design. It's a bit of a TARDIS really, but they were obviously trying to maximise as many units out of their existing space. They did that about 35 years ago. The company that we actually ended up acquiring was 56 years old. I think the milling company before it was incorporated goes back even further than that. But it's in a town called Abingdon. It's a lovely red brick building, and it used to be the sort of mill house and the workshops, which then eventually went into be a school and now apartments. Went on the open market. We viewed it, really liked it. We've got a heavy investment portfolio in the town that it's in, which is Abingdon, which is 10 minutes from Oxford. And we really liked the scheme. We saw loads of value add. We see asset management play. We saw, rejuvenating the whole site, but also reworking some of the layouts. And the rent rolls were not as good as they could be. So we went to view the site, made an offer. It didn't fall that well because they were guiding at 2 million. And originally when we viewed it, there were quite a few people interested. As the market sort of started tailing in its confidence, and COVID really sort of shook people's, aspirations for the next 12, 24 months, we were still really keen because it was income generating. It has loads of play that you could work around it. We love things, the bigger it is and the more you can mould it, the more value you can create.
Yep.
Even if you're not building any new build on it. So we really wanted the site, so I kept on at the agent, and we actually eventually managed to secure it for 1.517 million. So easily 25% below what they guided it at. We also bought the limited company, so we had a lower stamp duty bill. And for the last 20 months, we've been rattling through each flat, refurbishing it. And our goals at the beginning, and this is how we structure most of our stuff, we sort of have a fallback position, which is what do we need, what can we do without any consents or any constraints? And we build a sort of de-analysis on that.
Yep.
And then we have upside and planning or change of use or whatever it may be, and we have another de-analysis on that. On this particular scheme, we thought that we could probably increase the massing of the building by about 30%, and Ben was working on a sort of north extension that was 2.5, 3-story extension.
Okay.
It turns with the tenants there and with the income that we could generate, it was actually a lot more profitable and a better return on our time and a better return on investment to just deliver what we had in the existing footprint, which is exactly what we did.
Okay, can you talk numbers then?
Of course. So we bought the site for 1.17.
1.517.
1.517, sorry. That would be nice.
Yeah, it really would.
And the way we structured the project is we borrowed equity finance in, which was 500,000. We have an equity joint venture partner on the deal. We leveraged the rest up with a development facility to buy the rest of the asset and also fund 100% of the build costs in arrears. So we've spent about 400,000 on mostly refurbishing each flat and reconfiguring each flat. Some of them are back to brick renovations, some of them are just a light decorational touch.
Okay.
While we've been doing that, we've been moving tenants around, upping rents as accordingly of the asset that we're delivering to the market to get market value. So we've had a good rent roll through. So we've generated, I believe, about 156k in rent over the 18 months of delivery. So that's 1.5 in, 400 spend, rental income in. Our finance is coming in at about a blended cost of 10%, and we will end up borrowing about 1.35.
Okay.
And our gross development value is 3.2 million.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So a huge jump there.
Yeah, so there's a good margin of profit.
About £1 million worth of equity that we've built by just asset managing.
And just a refurbishment internal.
Yeah, alongside the refurbishment, we went to planning. We got planning permission to add some extra dormers in the loft, take the 2-bed flat in the loft to a 4-bed HMO, which we'll rent out as sort of part of our investment.
Okay.
And that's actually in the process of being done at the moment. So that's the final piece of the puzzle at the moment. That's due to be completed in about 3 months' time. So that will be fully finished asset, 14 flats, taking the rent roll from I think 120 grand to 180 grand, something around there. So a big uplift in rent roll and a big uplift in value. So really,
absolutely
really
incredible deal. Well worthy of winning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So your pipeline, I know, has grown exponentially over the last few years. You've really, really gone in. Tell me what's currently in the pipeline.
Yeah, we've got a number of bigger projects, and if we could learn anything from our previous sort of 4.5 years in business, it's that we started looking very small on a project by project basis instead of looking at our business as a whole and how we want to grow it.
Okay.
We've done a lot of projects that really don't sort of spin the needle for us as a business anymore, like doing a 2-bed end terrace property new build where you make £40,000-50,000 is probably 2 months of overheads for us, and it's that kind of, we were just looking on a project by project basis. Oh yes, this works really well, let's do that. Whereas actually in hindsight, our time would have been better spent looking at bigger projects that return more and actually grow our business faster.
Yeah.
So that's really where we've gone now. So we've set a limit of what we want to actually get out of a project on every project. And if it doesn't hit that target, then we just move on. But we've actually just secured, as of 2 weeks ago, about 10,000 square foot office unit in Abingdon as well, South Oxfordshire, and that will be 16 units under PD. We're going back in for planning to make that into 24 units, which I'm really excited about. So that is we were there on site yesterday with a design team meeting for architects and our internal team, and very excited to get that one moving.
I bet.
And then we've got another one in the pipeline, which is very similar. So I think, what did we say, 17,000 square feet? Space.
Yes, yeah.
17,000 square feet of office space, which again has approval for 22 units. And I think by the time we played around with the planning, we'll end up with about 35. So stepping up from 1 to 4 unit schemes to multi-unit 10, 20 unit schemes is now where we are in terms of a business. So super exciting couple of years.
Very, very exciting couple of years. So when you're not working, which is a lot, what do you like to do outside of work?
Work on the other businesses. I think that's what happens. So XP Property, we've been running XP Property for 4.5 years now. I've got an architectural practice which has been running since the middle of 2017. So that's a team of 15 based in Clapham now. We're glutton for punishment. 2 years ago, we started another business called XP Surveys, which is a measured building and topographical survey business. So we're trying to grow that alongside what we're doing with XP Property. And Jack's also got another business with his brother called Central Suites, where I don't know what you're up to now, 50 rooms, 60 rooms,
well, 100 rooms.
100 rooms there you go, in terms of HMO portfolio.
Right.
Which leaves not a lot of time for extra stuff. But no, I mean, I've got a 2-year-old kid, so he keeps me busy, meeting up with friends, golf, football. That's pretty much all I get time for nowadays.
Do you sleep?
I do sleep, yeah, actually, and Lucas is very good at sleeping.
Oh,
he sleeps
good.
12 hours overnight and has done for a while. So,
wow.
Yeah, I kind of feel a bit normal, and I shouldn't say that in front of many parents.
What a dream.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, I feel bad saying that work does play a big part of mine and Ben's life, and I think a lot of people around us are on board for that journey. So I do enjoy getting on top of work, creating value in work. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to be doing in your spare time.
Absolutely. If you love what you do, fabulous. Yeah.
Outside of that, family, friends, obviously got 2 dogs, Moose and Cheddar. Like watching live sport. I've also got a Harley Davidson, so I like riding that in the summer.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I live in a lovely countryside area, so whether it's watching sport or taking a stroll down by the river, normally ends in a pub, is definitely my cup of tea.
Pub and a beer?
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. So you're really, really going for it. Your growth is huge. Do you see yourself calming down eventually? What's the long-term plan, or have you not thought that far ahead?
It's probably changed a lot, hasn't it? I think when we set out, we probably did, think we'd probably be developing things like this in 20 years' time or whatever. I don't know. A lot of things happened in the last year or two. Kids have come along, I can't speak for Jack and his plans, but I think it's been a really, really busy 5 years of growth, like you've just mentioned. I don't think it's sustainable to continue at that pace. So I think something has to slow down.
Yep.
And how that looks, not really sure at the moment. But we're happy where we are. We've got some exciting projects in the pipeline. So certainly for me, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think across the businesses, evidently Ben mentioned 2 projects, but our delivery pipeline for this year is 25 million N Valley. Last year at 16 million. They say that 100% growth in a business is unsustainable. I'd agree with that if it's past 5 years of age. But pretty much every business that we've grown and scaled has grown at 100% each year. And we're now starting to get to that stage where XP Property doesn't necessarily need to grow too much more. We'll be more focusing on our time allocation, the skill in the team, our profit margins. Ben alluded to a really clear point earlier that our business overheads are the same whether we're doing 6 one-house developments or 6 house developments.
Right.
So we focused on scaling up to a comfortable size, obviously because Ben and I both have a construction background. The development stuff's never really fazed us, but what we've been doing is blindsiding what it takes to run a core business with a core team and the staff and the overheads of that. So we're starting to, I call it storm, reform, perform. I feel like we're reforming at the moment, and we're really getting into the place where it looks like we're growing, but we're not. We're actually doing less deals of higher values, and we've got a better team ever. We've got supporting companies in the ecosystem, so we can survey, we can design, we can deliver, and we can manage all in-house. And we've sort of gone through storm in 4 companies, which is late nights, weekend working, bank holidays working, stressful days, more bad things and good things, and so on and so forth. But I feel like the future for us is much more performing, which for us is probably time and valuing our time, focusing a bit more on strategy and not necessarily managing the day-to-day firefighting, and also being more profitable, because every single one of our schemes has been profitable. When you feed that into the cost of running that, is that a profitable business at heart? And that's what we've really been focusing on over the next few years. I would like to think we're obviously growing gross development values and our profit margins are going to increase, but we're quite comfortable at the moment to sort of 6 to 8 developments a year, from anywhere between sort of 5 to 20 to 30 units is our sweet spot, and we're really finding that. And I think it's key for any listeners out there, you don't sometimes always have to have the same goals, and new things crop up and you learn, and it's all about sort of being nimble, always setting targets, but you can also always revisit those.
Yeah.
So bigger and better things, whether that be more time, more profitability, more people in the team to alleviate a lot of mine and Ben's time, but also focusing on strategy.
Brilliant.
We have just done our 2023 goals. So
You
that
have?
will be coming out in a video soon.
Okay.
There's some interesting ones in there.
Can you share one? Can you give us a pre?
One of my personal ones actually is I want to play a live poker tournament this year. So we didn't touch on it earlier, but I graduated uni and played poker for a living. That was my job after uni.
Wow.
Before going into sort of the design and construction thing, and I haven't really played it for a while. So I want to get back into just to scratch the itch, basically, of getting back into playing that. So yeah,
get back a few more things that you love
this year. Exactly.
Yeah,
we've joked about crowdfunding investment for Ben's
for
part.
Ben's poker.
If you want a stake.
I mean that, yeah.
Hey, yeah, definitely.
I'm a bit rusty, but we'll see how it goes.
What about yourself? Do you have one goal you can share with us?
Yeah, so I suppose for me, we've obviously done a lot of real estate on our own, but I've never really created my own home to live in.
Okay.
So for me, it's just really get stable grounding in Henley-on-Thames, which is where I live. A short walk from the office, a short walk from the River Thames, and very close to a few pubs. So it's to
All
really,
important.
yeah, exactly. So it's to really focus on just building a base for me. The project that I'm currently delivering for myself is not really the house I would choose. It was just a really good deal. So it's to try and sort of peter down my urge to make things work on paper and focus on creating a nice space for me, my wife, and the 2 dogs.
Lovely. Oh, I'm sure Cheddar and Moose will be overjoyed to hear that. Okay, so one piece of advice then you'd give for anybody starting out,
Good question. You got one to hand?
especially in this market.
You could do your 1 year, 5 year thing. That's a good one.
What's that one?
Okay.
Do you want to do my 1 year, 5 year thing?
So Ben's really, I suppose, true words is you will overachieve. You will overestimate what you can achieve in 1 year, and you will underestimate what you can achieve in 5 years, which I think is really key. You sort of set yourself goals in year 1, you review them, and you're like, okay, we did sort of hit those revenue targets, and we did grow that much, but there's no profit. We haven't got a team. We're still doing the same hours, and you learn a lot, obviously, every year in business, but the first year is probably the biggest learning curve, and I think that's a really clear one, because we can certainly resonate in year 1. We never thought we'd be doing what we are today, and you sort of struggle and second guess yourself a bit. You go, this is really difficult, I can't find the deals, can't find the investment. And then my one, which tallies completely into that, is the first of everything will always be the hardest. So the first deal, the first investor, the first bank relationship, the first set of legals, the first construction project tends to normally be the hardest and the biggest learning curve. So make sure you've got good people around you. Make sure that you're doing due diligence on the deal, the professionals, the funding, whatever it may be. And definitely don't get worried that every deal is going to be the same. You have some that are easy, some are hard, and it's all about bringing the right resource in. And that could completely just be an individual or yourself, but the first deal is always the hardest.
Brilliant advice.
I think the biggest thing, and we've mentioned growth and kind of pushing forward and building a business. That isn't possible without a team and a good team around you. I think you kind of need to decide early on, do you just want kind of a lifestyle business and it's just you and your family and you're building it for maybe a portfolio or pension pot, whatever, or do you want to grow a business? You can't grow a business without a team. And fundamentally, we would always start with someone that's going to take the administration tasks off you, so a PA or a business manager. If I've learned that in all the business that we've done, having someone in early to take away all of that administration strain to allow you to focus on the things that you're good at, whether that be sales, finding opportunities, developing schemes, that would be where I'd start. So starting to build a team around you if you do really want to grow and push forward, I think that's going to be fundamental to any growth. Yeah.
Brilliant advice. And for anybody wanting to apply for the Property Investor Awards next year, how do you feel it's been since you won, and would you recommend applying?
I absolutely think so. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Property Investor Awards, like the amount of attention and the amount of credibility that you gain from winning something like that is just, you can't really put a price on it. I mean, we've already had people reach out to us that want to invest in further schemes with us off the back of seeing some of the social media posts we've made, and from, you know, even from the event itself, from the night itself, the celebration night.
Yeah.
So for us, yeah, I think that credibility is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, so resonating, that's all the external benefits, but also internal benefits. Ben and I work 7 days a week, long hours, long days, and it's weird to say that it took us to be in a room surrounded by a lot of really strong competition to winning an award, to just take a step back and be like, you know what, we have actually achieved something, and it does motivate you and inspire you to do more and push you forward. Sort of checks you in, and then gets you on your way to do a bit more.
Yeah, you're like, oh, actually, I've done all right this year. Yeah, well done.
Because it's very, when you do a lot and there's a lot of external pressure, we don't celebrate the wins enough. And I think when they come, you need to, because life as a property developer, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it is a roller coaster. 1 minute you're celebrating a massive success, you've just sold your units, your profits in the bank, and then the next phone call you take is a disgruntled client or something that's going wrong on another site. So you have to take the wins when they come, because you work hard to do it.
Yeah, we should also be celebrating life, right?
Yeah.
Not every day needs to be a big stress.
Yeah, exactly that.
Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today. Wish you all the best. I hope 2023 and beyond is fantastic for you. And good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And thank you for watching.